800 TJ thought he had time. He thought the streets loved him enough to protect him. But what happened in July 2024 shook the city. One day, he was laughing on live, bumping out music, flexing like a king. The next, he was laid out on I-94 with bullets in him. This wasn't just another drill rapper gone too soon. This was personal, disrespectful, loud, and the whole thing played out like a movie. On Instagram, in diss tracks, and through interviews. He said it himself, "You really can't leave." And in the end, that's what trapped him. But what really happened in those final 24 hours? Why did one of the most feared names in the 800 block get caught slipping? And who really backdoored him? Join us as we take a closer look at this story as more than a murder, but as a case of ego, betrayal, clout, and the high price of playing God in the streets. Back in the day, Grove Park Plaza wasn't just another housing project. It was the heartbeat of 800. You had low-income families trying to survive, but you also had young heads grinding, trapping, and claiming their hood like it was all they had. And for the Mickey Cobras, that's exactly what it was. The blocks from 60th to 63rd on Cottage Grove were like a war zone and a home all at once. That's where the name 800 came from. It's Cottage Grove, aka 800 East, and that stretch between 61st and 63rd birthed something deadly. Before they were known as 800, the set used names like Mickey City and Holly Grove. But things changed in 2011. That's when Roselle Diddy Phillips got gunned down, and that hit flipped a switch. Diddy was tight with the younger Mickey Cobras, so in his honor they dropped the old tags and started calling themselves 800 DMG, Diddy Money Gang. Later they turned into 800 DGB, Diddy Grove Boys, and by June 2011 they dropped all that and just went with 800. They weren't moving solo either. Their first solid alliance was with 051 Young Money, another Mickey Cobra branch on 51st and Cottage Grove. Together they formed 800 YM and claimed a new renegade identity, Maniac Cobras. They were setting themselves apart from the older generation, but that unity didn't last long. When it came to rivals, 800 inherited more enemies than they could count. Mac Creek, TYMB, STL. The list grew fast. These beefs weren't just over blocks. These were blood feuds going back years, and they turned the streets of Woodlawn into a battlefield. By 2012, 800 was deep in the mix. Drill music was blowing up, and their name hit the scene with rapper Boss Smooth. People were starting to notice, but other sets weren't giving them respect yet. They saw 800 as a young set, still hiding behind 051 YM's name. But it didn't take long for 800 to make noise. 2018 came through like a storm. 800 was active, spinning blocks, dropping names and disrespecting the dead in tracks. In August, someone from 800 hit DJ from Taekwon World while he waited at a bus stop. He caught one in the neck and didn't make it. 800 didn't hide it. In fact, Boss Smooth made it worse by rapping DJ Dumb Ass got hit at the bus. This one time, some of 800's biggest rivals were all gathered at a funeral for rapper Dusky the Man. Then came the shots. Over 40 rounds flew. 6 people hit. No one got caught. Cops thought maybe old Block did it. They even questioned King Von. But back in the streets, 800 was claiming the hit loud and clear. By 2020, things turned even bloodier. But 800's enemies weren't staying quiet, and so they retaliated. Even with all the loss, 800 stayed standing. By 2024, they had moved from their old block, mostly due to gentrification. No more Grove Park. Now they were in Dearborn Homes with OTV 029, or on 75th with Rawtown, or chilling in Frank Block on 80th. But peace didn't last. There's one thing about Chicago drill, it don't come with a warning label. You can go from being the loudest voice in the room to a name on a hoodie overnight. Ty John Bush, better known on the streets as 800 TJ, came out the south side of Chicago with heat already chasing him. Born in Burnside, around 93rd and Cottage, he didn't grow up in a calm household. His pops was in and out of jail, which meant young TJ had to learn fast. By 13, he wasn't just a kid anymore. He was already booked for stealing cars. It wasn't a phase, it was his entry ticket into a darker world. He jumped off the porch and into the street life. In 2016 and 2017, TJ started sliding into a whole different zone, 61st and Cottage Grove. That's 800 territory, the Snakes. The set mostly made up of Mickey Cobras, but in Chicago, every block got its own twist. 800 was more than a name, it was a problem. They weren't just beefing with one or two sets, they had smoke all across the city. FA, 069, Mix Mob, STL, Taquan World, Pocket Town, 051 Money, and M Block. The list was long, and the hate was real. Even though he was born on 93rd, 800 took him in. TJ became one of their own. And like most of them, he lived online as much as he lived on the block. That's how he moved, like he had no fear. But TJ's mouth got him into more than music. In 2022, he got caught with a gun. Body cam footage of the arrest got out, and his legal history started unfolding. He had already spent time in Cook County. Some reports said he did 3 years at 50%, which would be 18 months. But somehow, he was back out in 8. He told folks he took a deal. Said he slid right out. Whatever the case, he was back outside, doing what he always did, talking wild and moving reckless. He wasn't afraid to diss Bloodhound L. Jeff, who got dropped on camera trying to catch a body. TJ laughed on live after L. Jeff died, asked when the funeral was, taunted folks like he had nothing to lose. This wasn't just rap, it was real tension. TJ was a name the city knew. Some saw him as a problem, others as the next to blow, but either way, he was on everybody's radar. His tracks were circulating, not just for the bars, but for the bodies he mentioned, and that's what made it dangerous. And TJ, he kept feeding the fire. Every time he went live, it felt like he was daring the streets to touch him, like he thought he was bulletproof. But in a city like this, that kind of confidence comes with a timer. TJ always had a mouth on him, but in July 2024, he took things too far. The day before he died, he went live again. This time, it wasn't just dissing the Opps or posting subliminals. Nah, he straight up clowned a man who accused him of stealing his gun. That man was G. Kane, a young rapper coming up out of MCB. TJ laughed at him in front of the whole city. "You gave me the gun and I took off on your ass." He said, "Then you tried to run back up and I upped on you." It wasn't just disrespect, it was a full-on public confession. "I was on live when I took your gun. Everybody's seen it." He said again, bold as ever. He didn't just say it. He rode around playing GK's own music while holding the same pipe he snatched. That was the kind of move that don't just make enemies, it makes a death wish. TJ had screenshots too. DMs where GK says straight up, "You ain't got long. I'm gonna miss you, brother." Then another one, "This was meant to be." That was the moment the clock started ticking. GK went live later that same day, tight-faced and fiery. Tell him he got 24 hours to return that, not 23 and a half, not 25, 24 hours. That wasn't no bluff, that was a death sentence, typed and time-stamped. By the next night, July 11th, GK dropped a diss track called Mr. 24. No secret who it was for. He was taunting TJ, making the threat part of the track, and by the next day, the whole thing turned real. July 12th, TJ was in a car on the Dan Ryan Expressway, thinking it was just another ride. Then a Chrysler 300 pulled up, window dropped, and GK leaned out with a Draco. It happened fast, loud, deadly. TJ died in that car before help even got there, just 20 years old, caught up in a war he helped flame. Lil Mike got hit too, but survived. And GK, he ain't hide. Not even 10 minutes after the hit, he was live. Again, same Draco in hand. "Y'all know I got my gun back," he said. "They gave me my star back." He threw up signs like he just won MVP, then dropped the music video for Mr. 24 that same day. Views flew past 65,000 in hours. It wasn't a secret. It was a statement. That video, that live, those bars, they all turned into evidence. Social media became the crime scene. The city knew. The feds were watching. And even months later when GK sat on DJU's couch trying to play dumb, "I don't even know what happened to fool." That smirk said everything. He knew. We all did. Thing is, this ain't the first time Chicago's seen a backdoor go viral. But this one hit different. Because it wasn't just a setup, it was a stage show. The whole thing played out like a drill opera. Lives, diss tracks, reposts, threats, like the Opps had cameras rolling. Back in the day, you got dropped in silence. Now, you get killed in 4K and become a trending topic before your mama even get the call. Streets used to whisper. Now they screen record. Every move TJ made got clipped, shared, and broken down like a mixtape drop. And that's what made it worse. Cause when the hoods start watching like fans, the line between real beef and rap beef don't just blur, it disappears. This wasn't just internet beef. This was war with Wi-Fi, a backdoor that got broadcasted before the smoke even cleared. And the countdown, it ended right on time. After the hit, people kinda already knew what happened and why. There were all sorts of rumors, and everyone thought they had it all figured out. But then one day, out of nowhere, TJ's own blood sister went on Instagram, and that's when everything cracked wide open. She didn't post a soft message. She didn't beat around the bush. She dropped a bomb. Not just words, She posted a name, a face, an Instagram handle. The girl she accused of setting up her brother was now out there for everybody to see. Her name, The Doll. That name hit hard, not because it was familiar, but because the accusation was loud and direct. TJ's sister pointed at the doll and said straight up, "This the female who set my brother up to be gunned down on the expressway." The streets had been talking for months, but now the info came straight from family, from blood, and that made it real. Real enough to stir up a new wave of tension. She said it loud, public, posted it in her Instagram story, and made sure people knew this wasn't no fake sister or street play sister. She let it be known. This is not someone he called sis. This is his blood sister talking. That matters in this kind of world. In gang culture, everybody throws around family titles. But when blood steps up like that, it hits different. The people listening know it's not a clout move. It's personal, it's grief, and it's war. Now here's where things get dark. The same girl, the doll, the sister accused of setting up TJ, was also riding with 650 Lil Mike the day he got shot. That's what stirred the pot even more, because when Lil Mike got shot in the face and survived, another female in the car with him was killed. At the time, people assumed it was just another hit, another get back. But after this post, it started to look like something deeper. The idea that the doll may have been involved in both situations. That's what made this post feel like more than just rage. It sounded like a missing piece. TJ's sister even mentioned that the doll was connected to 650 Lil Mike, adding more fuel to the story. And she said what a lot of people in the streets already feel. You can't trust nobody. Not your homies, not the girls in your car, not even the ones smiling in your face. Because at the end of the day, this backdoor era don't care about loyalty. Everybody's looking for clout, stripes, or revenge, sometimes all three at once. It's no secret that TJ was moving reckless before he died. That made him a target, but no one expected the shot to come from inside the circle. The idea that it wasn't some random op, but someone close, was wild. Someone he probably shared a blunt with, laughed with, maybe even trusted. His sister called out the doll by name, showed her profile, and warned everybody watching, be careful with the females. They'll line you up quicker than the Opps. And in Chicago's drill culture, that's a real fear. Setups don't just happen in trap houses or on the block. They happen in cars, in bedrooms, at parties. It happens when you least expect it, when your guard is down. He got backdoored, set up. And the streets were now looking at the doll like she was the key to it all. Whether she was the mastermind or just played a role, TJ's sister made it clear she was the reason my brother's gone. This kind of post doesn't just stir up conversation, it stirs up action. It puts real people in danger, because in this life, when you get named in a setup, you become a target too. It don't take long for that story to travel from Instagram to the streets, and once it does, it's hard to slow it down. Some people watching might say, that's just a grieving sister lashing out. But in this culture, grief and vengeance move hand in hand. TJ's sister says she didn't know exactly what was going on, but she knew enough. Enough to say she didn't trust nobody around her brother, enough to say her family was done guessing. She believed the doll had lined him up, and that was that. And remember, this ain't the first time somebody was blamed for TJ's death. Some people thought maybe Lil Mike was just caught in the mix. Maybe the setup had more to do with who was riding in his car that day than him directly. This is the kind of drama that doesn't fade, it sticks, and it grows. People already assumed the worst, and TJ's sister just confirmed what a lot of them had been thinking. While the streets had gotten all confused about who to blame, GK probably thought the storm had passed. That time would cool things off, that if he laid low and stayed quiet, people would move on. They would forget. They would let the doll take the fall for it all. But that wasn't the case. Chicago police weren't playing games, and when it came to 800 TJ's murder, they weren't letting it slide. At first, there was silence. No arrests, no public statements. But behind closed doors, the detectives were building. They had the live threats, the music videos, the interviews. They had it all saved, clipped, and filed. And when the time was right, they moved in. May 15th, 2025. Nearly 10 months after TJ's murder, GK was found in Houston, Texas. He had fled the city, thought the distance would save him. But U.S. Marshals and CPD tracked him down. They weren't looking. They knew exactly where he was. They knocked, then came in with force. GK was taken into custody without a fight. It wasn't just him. Another man named Ball was also picked up. He was said to be the driver during the shooting. Both of them were hit with murder charges, first degree, the kind you don't just walk away from, the kind that sticks. The city lit up again. Blogs, lives, vlogs, all covering it. People saying things like, Mr. 24 thought he was invisible, but the Fed's watching everything now. Even the streets started switching up. People who were once posting snake emojis and dices started backing off. Some deleted old tweets, some tried to distance themselves, because once the charges dropped, it got real. No more laughing on live, no more trolling in the comments. GK had made himself a target, not just for the ops, but for law enforcement. Every move he made on social, in the music, on the interviews, was used against him. The feds didn't have to dig deep. GK gave them everything they needed. One lawyer said, social media has become the prosecutor's best friend. And this case was proof. Everything was public. Everything was loud. GK went from street rapper to national headline in a matter of hours. His bond hearing came fast. Back in Chicago, 800 started posting again. Subtle jabs, pictures of TJ, hashtag long live snake. They weren't celebrating, they were remembering. The tone had shifted from pain to pressure. When GK got snatched up in Houston, it wasn't just another rapper facing charges. It was a whole digital footprint on trial. Chicago PD didn't need to chase rumors, they had receipts. And the courtroom? That turned into a stage where every click, every bar, every live stream became evidence. The prosecutor walked in ready. They had the music videos, the lyrics, the Instagram lives, and most importantly, they had the timeline. The courtroom didn't need snitches. They had screenshots, TikToks, YouTube clips, blogs breaking it down frame by frame. What used to take months of investigation now takes a scroll and a Wi-Fi signal. One old head said it best. They used to have to beat the hood for info. Now they just log in. And you could see it unfold with GK. His whole case built itself. A clean, deadly chain of events that linked GK to the hit on 800 TJ. It started with that infamous 24-hour warning live. Then the Mr. 24 diss track. The day after, TJ was found dead, just like GK said. Inside the courtroom, that wasn't just entertainment. That was motive. That was intent. One by one, the prosecutor broke it all down. He said it. Then he dropped the track. Then he mocked the death. Then he did interviews laughing about it. It wasn't just clout chasing anymore. This was premeditation, streamed for everyone to see. One courtroom reporter said it best. It felt like a mixtape had become the murder weapon. And what made it even crazier? GK wasn't quiet in jail either. He was still trying to act like he was untouchable. Some folks said he was making jail calls, talking slick. Others claimed he was still flexing, thinking he beat the case like a rapper beating a diss. But the energy was different now. The lights were brighter. And there weren't no fans screaming his name, just lawyers staring him down. The defense tried to say the videos were for entertainment. That drill music is just art. He didn't mean it literally, they said, but the jury wasn't buying it because the timing matched, the energy matched, and the outcome, that was real. TJ was gone, and everything online showed exactly why. Even GK's own lyrics got played out loud in court, bar for bar. Mr. 24, I don't play, he gone in 24. The jurors were listening closely. This wasn't just rap beef anymore, this was real-life consequences. The prosecution even brought in a gang expert, someone who'd studied Chicago sets for years. He told the jury what throwing up the snake meant, what calling someone fool meant, what it meant when GK said, I got my star back. That expert said it straight. He's bragging about getting the weapon back and handling the problem, plain and clear. By the end of the second week, people in the courtroom said you could feel it. GK's energy had shifted. No more laughing, no more flexing. The cocky kid from the lives was now just a young man staring at the floor, wearing a county jumpsuit, hoping the next word wasn't guilty. But the internet wasn't done dragging him. Clips from the trial started leaking online. The blogs were eating it up. TikTokers made videos breaking it all down. Twitter threads went viral with every new detail. GK wasn't just on trial in court. He was being judged by the same streets and fans that once hyped him up. One viral comment hit hard. Bro beat TJ and then got beat by his own iPhone. And the saddest part, nobody won. TJ was gone. GK was locked. And both their names became hashtags in a city that keeps chewing up young talent like it's nothing. Even the judge had to pause at one point and say, this isn't just a case about music. This is about how a generation is dying on the internet. Meanwhile, Lil Mike, the only survivor from that car, had gone silent. No more interviews, no more laughing. It seemed like the weight of the whole thing had hit him too. He lost his brother. His name got dragged. And now, he was watching everything unfold from the sidelines. But back in the courtroom, the prosecutors had one last play. They showed the final clip of GK's live stream. The one where he laughed and said, tell Snake to get back. The one where he flexed with the gun he said he got back. The one where he looked dead into the camera like he couldn't be touched. That was it. That was the moment everyone knew, the jury, the lawyers, even the people in the back row, that the verdict was already written. You see, back then, when it was up in silence. No tweets, no cameras, just steel and footsteps. You caught your op face to face, and if something went down, the streets whispered about it, not shouted. But today, it's front camera first. IG lives before lives. You diss with a caption and kill with a click. And 800 TJ, he didn't just get caught slipping, he got caught streaming. His story ain't just about gang beef. It's a play-by-play of how the streets turned digital. He got lined up not in an alley, but on Instagram, gassed up by hearts and laughing emojis, flexing with someone else's gun like it was a trophy. And when G. Kane said 24 hours, ain't nobody hiding the smoke. They broadcast it, they promote it. Whole threads get pinned in comment sections. Drill turned dissing into marketing. You disrespect someone's dead brother at noon, and by nightfall, your track's trending. Clout is currency, and death is the promo. TJ understood the algorithm better than most, but this ain't just about two names. GK and TJ are just the faces on today's poster. There's dozens more behind them. This is drill culture in its final form. Rappers now don't just make music, they narrate their own destruction in real time. Drill don't live in the booth anymore, it lives in real places, on porches, at funerals, in direct messages. Kids don't just listen to songs, they investigate them. They count names, trace threads, compare timelines. Fans become analysts, haters become reporters, and the ops, they play judge and executioner. TJ's death wasn't just posted, it was predicted. And once it happened, it became part of the cycle. Pages recycled his videos for clicks. 1 minute you're the main act, the next you're content. Even after death, the circus didn't stop. They posted his body, zoomed in on screenshots, argued in comment threads about who slid. Some fans called it karma, others blamed the back door. Either way, it wasn't about grief, it was about gossip. That's the part that cuts deepest. They didn't just kill TJ, they clowned him after. And still the cycle don't break. Cause while one name trends, another name steps up. Another rapper logs in, another op gets tagged. It's a never-ending stream of lives, diss tracks, and morning posts. Fans scream, "Free him," before the funeral even ends. Labels scout talent from mugshots, streams spike after death. Being real now means dying loud. That's what makes this drill scene different. The pain is public, the loss is scheduled. There's no silence, just sirens and scrolling. And it don't matter how talented someone is, how many views they get, how hard they go on a beat. If they say the wrong thing or the right thing too loud, they're next. That's why TJ's story still hits. He wasn't the first, and he won't be the last, but his downfall played out like a season finale. Every scene documented, every line replayed, every consequence timestamped. His rise was fast, but his fall was faster. And somewhere out there, another kid is watching his videos right now thinking, I'm next. Not next to die, but next to go viral. That's the trap. Because in this game, death and fame run the same streets. They wear the same colors. They talk the same language. And when they catch up to you, they both show no mercy. That's what clout really is. Not power, not money, not fame. It's a gamble. A high-stakes flex that ends in one of two ways, jail or a hashtag. GK thought it would make him a star. TJ thought he was untouchable. The streets proved both of them wrong. And still, the phones stay on. The cameras keep rolling. Another diss gets written. Another life gets logged. Another RIP gets posted too late. This ain't just music anymore, it's a memorial in motion, a highlight reel of heartbreak, a countdown set on loop. So yeah, TJ's name lives on, but not in the way he hoped. Not on stages, not in charts, but in headlines, in court cases, in whispers about what really went down. And that back door, it never closed. It just waits for the next rapper to walk through, smiling, phone in hand, thinking the game gonna play fair this time. But in Chicago, the game don't play, it just pokes, and then it kills. At first, everybody thought it was just G. Kane. That's the name that hit the blogs. That's the one people ran with. Seemed like a one-on-one beef that turned deadly. But now, the smoke is clearing, and it turns out there were 3 men behind it, not just one. And the way the pieces came together, it's wilder than anyone expected. The internet had been stuck on G. Kane for weeks, but behind all that noise, 2 more men from his block were also involved. These weren't just background guys either. They were right there with him, moving as a unit, all tied into the hit. They just weren't the ones doing all the talking. Now we know it wasn't just one person plotting, it was a team of 3. Tyler Perkins, known as G. Kane, Demetrius Shields, and one other individual. The third suspect shocked people. He didn't go viral like G. Kane. He wasn't in the front seat of the drama, but he was right there in the mix. In fact, he was even seen sitting on the couch next to G. Kane during an interview, calm, relaxed, talking like nothing had happened. But behind the scenes, his hands were dirty. The cops knew. They just waited until the moment was right. The feds weren't just watching clips. They were tracking phones, collecting data, running facial recognition, matching timestamps. These boys thought they were moving slick, but the feds had the whole play figured out. After the murder, all 3 suspects left town. They didn't just slide to Indiana or Wisconsin. They hit 4 different states, trying to run from what they did. But you can't hide when U.S. Marshals, state troopers, and homicide detectives are all on your trail. Especially when you left behind a steamer, a stolen car, tied to the murder scene. Let that sink in. They used a stolen car to kill TJ and then hit the internet like they had nothing to do with it. The same car, the same location, and digital footprints all over the place. And once the expressway is involved, that becomes federal territory. The Dan Ryan ain't just a city street. It's a federal highway, and shootings there bring in state police and federal investigators. That's why this case moved fast. Once it left regular CPD hands, it became a bigger problem. And when the arrests started rolling in, they weren't soft. These weren't come in for questioning type of arrests. These were warrants, straight to the point. 3 men, 3 names, 3 targets, no slip-ups. When the police come like that, no extra people, no knocking on doors, they already got the info, which means someone told. No one know who snitched, but somebody had to, because cops don't build a case that's solid without help. They don't move across states unless they already know exactly who they're going to get. And this time, they wanted all 3, not just G. Kane. What's wild is that 2 of the suspects are in their 30s. TJ was in his early 20s, so now you got grown men, OGs, sliding on a young dude over a pistol. That's how deep it runs. It ain't just young hotheads. Even older heads are still out here crashing out. That's why the speaker said what he said. The beef didn't stay between TJ and G. Kane. TJ, he dissed their whole side. That's how beef spreads. You got one op, then the whole block is on your head. Some of them you ain't never even seen before. You gotta be careful beefing with one person, cause somebody else can inherit that beef. After the murder, instead of staying low right away, these guys did interviews, dropped videos, made posts. One even joked about how his little brother used to steal guns all the time. And here's the reality. TJ's family wanted justice. Say what you want about how he was moving in the streets. Trolling, dissing, sliding. His people weren't in the field. His mom and dad weren't on live, weren't toting straps, weren't doing interviews. They were just parents who lost a son. Parents who wanted justice. And when the feds finally made those arrests, they wanted closure. That's how the story changed. What looked like a one-man beef turned into a 3-man hit squad. What started over one stolen gun became a federal manhunt across multiple states. What felt like another drill tragedy turned into a case built from the internet up. These guys didn't get caught because someone slipped. They got caught because they couldn't stop talking. Now all 3 are either in Chicago or on their way back, facing murder charges, facing real time, and facing a story that's no longer just a rumor. The truth is out. It wasn't just G. Kane, it was a team. Before any of it even happened, 800 TJ already knew how this story could end. He said it himself, not in a bar, not in a song, but in an interview, face to face, raw and uncut with DJU. When asked if he could ever leave the street life, TJ didn't even pause. "You really can't," he said, shaking his head. Like, how you gonna do that? Where you gonna go? And that was real. That wasn't just a young and talking tough. That was someone who had already seen the playbook. In his mind, there was no escape. He said, "It's people that know you from everywhere." And he meant that. From block to block, city to city, your name rings, and that ain't always a good thing. TJ knew that even if he wanted to fall back, even if he stopped posting, stopped riding around, stopped rapping, the streets wouldn't stop watching. That's the thing with this life. It don't just let you walk away. It ain't like in 9 to 5 where you clock out and go home. The hood don't forget. The ops don't forget. Even the homies don't let go. You leave and somebody starts whispering you folded, that you scary, that you switch sides. So most don't leave. They stay. TJ said it plain. They not just gonna let you That pause right there said more than a whole verse. He didn't even finish the sentence. He just knew. Once you become that guy in your hood, there's a target on your back. If you step away, someone else wants your spot or wants to see you fall, or worse, wants you gone. TJ didn't glamorize it. He wasn't bragging about it. He was just telling the truth. This life, this hell, it don't come with exits. The interviewer even said it back to him. So you say you can't remove yourself from hell? And TJ? He just said no. Number real soft, real heavy, like he already knew the ending. When asked if he was in it for life, he nodded. Basically, yeah. Now maybe he still had a sliver of hope somewhere in his heart, because the interviewer tried to reach him, telling him, "There ain't shit out here in these streets. That shit ain't gonna do nothing but either lead you to jail or the cemetery." And TJ heard it. He nodded, but you could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe that applied to him. Not really, not yet. That's the curse of being young and in it. You know the rules. You know the outcomes. You see the funerals, the court dates, the life bids, but somehow you think you're different, that you can outsmart the game, that you got time. But the truth? The game don't care. And TJ, as smart as he was, already knew he was in too deep. But the streets don't love you back. They never did. They just wait for your name to cool off before someone else tries to earn stripes off you. And the sad part? This is exactly what TJ was trying to say in that interview, in his own way. He said if you try to leave, it's still in words around you. They won't let you. So TJ didn't leave. Not because he didn't want better, but because he knew better wasn't even on the map. Not in his world, not at that moment. 1 year after TJ's death, 650 Lil Mike came out and said something nobody expected. He exposed his former best friend, 800 TJ, and claimed he wasn't who the internet thought he was. According to Lil Mike, TJ was never really like that. He wasn't some demon off the porch. He wasn't sliding or stepping like he rapped about. It was all for show, for the camera, for clout. Lil Mike said it plain. We goofy in the EFO, but he was cool, right? But when it came to the streets, he said TJ was chasing, clout chasing. Mike explained TJ used to do wild stuff just to go viral, like literally jumping out the car just to make a 30-second video, then hopping back in and uploading it later to catch views. They'd be riding through the city, and TJ would say, "Let me out right here," just to shoot some fake op hunting clip. No gun on him, no plan, just acting for the net. He liked to dance with the devil, Lil Mike said, meaning TJ kept playing with dangerous energy, thinking nothing would come back on him. Mike even said TJ would go look for Opps while he was on 30, meaning off drugs, and didn't even have a pipe on him. That's how reckless it got. Lil Mike also mentioned he knew G Kane before TJ, and when TJ took GK's pipe, Mike already knew how that was going to play out. He said it himself, Kane ain't the type to let that slide. Mike said when TJ got GK's gun, it wasn't even the first time he'd pulled a move like that. He said TJ took a gun from someone else before and got shot. Then he did it again, trolling the wrong one, and this time it cost him his life. "You got shot the first time. Why you doing it again?" Mike asked. He said TJ took something and got his ass killed. Simple. Lil Mike went even deeper. He said TJ wasn't just trolling Opps, he was trolling his own fate. He said TJ got too used to nothing happening when he clowned people online. "You troll and call, now it's different." He said, "You actually did something this time." Mike explained TJ had never really put in work, so no one took him serious. But once he finally did something real, the energy shifted. Now they really had a reason to come get him. He added, "I ain't saying nobody did nothing. I don't know nothing." He kept it vague, but the message was clear. TJ crossed the line. The kind you don't come back from, and Lil Mike says he warned him, told him to stop doing wild stuff for clout. He said it on live. You can go find it right now, Mike said, referring to the moment he tried to save his boy. But TJ didn't listen. What really messed people up was that Mike and TJ had history, 7 years, maybe more. Mike knew both sides. He knew the 800 boys and the 650 boys. So when stuff started going down, Mike made sure he wasn't around. "I knew what was going on, but I made sure I wasn't right there," he said. He stepped away from the smoke, but he still caught fire. Because after TJ got killed, people pointed at him. People thought Mike had something to do with it, that he backdoored his own homie. Mike wanted to clear that up. He said being in that car got him caught up in a story he didn't ask for. "They banging up the car," he said. "I could have got banged too." He was just trying to survive, but the streets started whispering that he lined TJ up, that maybe he dropped the low, that maybe he helped GK spin back, but Mike says that ain't the case. He said he's speaking now to get his name right. "I don't want to look like a snake or whatever you may see it," he said. He wants the streets to know TJ did this to himself. He moved recklessly. He chased internet points, and he put himself in the crosshairs. "That's why your eye missing," Mike said cold. It's his own actions that got him smoked. Mike even talked about the moment after TJ took the pipe. He said they made the mistake of still being in the same car the next day. Same whip. He said, dude already know what to look for. That was the final slip up. They didn't switch cars, didn't fall back. They were still out there like it was sweet. And that's how the hit came so quick. TJ took the heat and they didn't even change the plate. Mike also responded to people calling TJ a troll, saying he wasn't really about it, that he was all talk, no step. Mike didn't deny it. He confirmed it, said TJ was never on that it was all a show, all for Instagram. Even when TJ clowned Lil Jeff after his death, Mike said that wasn't even his real op. You weren't really trying to smoke Jeff. You weren't really trying to smoke bloodhounds. He said, it was just for clicks, just to stir things up. He ended by saying he ain't trying to be funny. He's just reflecting. He knows people looked at him sideways after the hit, but in his heart, he wants to be seen for who he really is. Not a slime, not a snake, just someone who was close to a ticking time bomb and managed to walk away. I feel like bro really want to be a good person, the host said. He just don't want to get labeled. The streets heard everything, and now they watching everyone, because once a name gets mixed up in a body, it never really disappears, it just echoes. And in this case, that echo came straight from a man who used to call TJ his brother, a man now saying, bro got himself killed. A man still trying to prove he ain't the one who opened the door, just the one who was standing too close when it slammed shut. What do you think? Was he just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or did he play a bigger part? TJ's killers might have felt like great men for a moment, might have gotten their star back, might have gone viral, but now they're facing first-degree murder, facing decades, no stage, no chain, just concrete walls and a case number. And TJ? He's gone. If revenge really is that sweet, why does it leave such a bitter taste after? Let us know what you think in the comments box below. And if you liked how we presented you this video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more.